What if the flickering images you once believed to be fiction were actually encrypted messages, their purpose not merely to entertain, but to awaken? What if every scene, every whispered word of dialogue, was a cipher, a breadcrumb trail leading you back to a truth so vast, so intricately woven into the very fabric of your existence, that to glimpse it, even for a moment, would forever alter the trajectory of your life? We stand at the threshold of that unsettling, electric question. For the Matrixy title we've all come to associate with blockbuster cinema, adrenaline-charged battles, and glossy simulations was never simply a movie. It is, if we dare to look deeper, a manual. A guide hidden in plain sight? A reflection, distorted yet crystalline, of the architecture of your own mind and the coded lattice of the reality you inhabit. Imagine, for a moment, peeling back the shimmering curtain of consensus reality. Beyond the routines, the scripted identities, and the illusions we have inherited, there exists a rawness, an undeniable pulse of something more. It vibrates like an ancient hum beneath all things, a signal beneath the noise, inviting us sometimes subtly, sometimes with a jarring jolt to awaken from the collective trance. And isn't that the true essence of the Matrix? Not a dystopian sci-fi fable, but a piercing commentary on the imprisonment of perception itself. The question is not whether we live in a computer simulation, as much as it is, how have we been programmed, and do we recognize the interface of our own beliefs, fears, and stories? There is a reason why this narrative has lodged itself into the cultural psyche with such ferocity. It resonates on a primal, archetypal level because it mirrors the oldest quest of humankind, the quest to remember. To remember that we are more than the avatars we've constructed, more than the flesh and bone vessels we animate. It speaks to that Gnostic echo within us that knows, without words, that there is a veil, and behind that veil lies the vast infinite, self-enchained, radiant, and free. But let's bring this closer, more intimate. Consider your own life. How many times have you found yourself moving through your days on autopilot, responding not from clarity, but from reflex, from scripts handed to you long before you were capable of questioning? School, media, cultural norms all have participated in weaving a tapestry around you, a matrix of ideas and limitations designed to feel as solid as stone, but which, in truth, is as malleable as thought itself. It is in this light that the Matrix as a manual becomes startlingly relevant, a whisper in the dark, reminding you that the chains are not outside youth, they are within. And the key has always been in your hands. Reality, in this view, is not a fixed entity, but a co-creation, an interactive feedback loop between consciousness and form. When Morpheus tells Neo that you have to see it for yourself, he isn't speaking only to a fictional character. He is speaking through the veil to each of us, hinting that no one can wake you up except you. No guru, no system, no savior. The red pill is not a physical object. It is a state of awareness, a willingness to question the unquestionable, to step outside of inherited paradigms and witness, with piercing honesty, the architecture of your own mind. The Matrix, then, is not only a metaphor for external control systems, governments, institutions, media, but also for the internal mechanisms that keep us shackled: fear, doubt, attachment, and the ego's relentless need for identity. This manual, disguised as entertainment, offers a blueprint not only for escape, but for mastery. For what is freedom, if not the reclamation of authorship over your own reality? To wake up is not merely to see the bars of the cage, but to realize that you were never truly caged at all, that the walls were made of thought, and thoughts can be reprogrammed. And so, we embark on this exploration together, not as passive consumers of a story, but as active participants in decoding its deeper message. This is not just a philosophical exercise. It is a call to action, a mirror held up to each of us, asking, are you ready to decode your reality? Are you prepared to see that the map was never the territory? That the manual has been in your hands all along, and that you, yes, you are, the architect of worlds. The journey ahead will take us deeper into the core themes that pulse at the heart of this manual, layers of meaning that intertwine ancient wisdom, quantum metaphysics, and the timeless struggle between illusion and truth. It is a journey that promises not only insight but transformation, if you are willing to walk its path with eyes wide open. To decode the matrix is to unweave the tapestry of assumptions that have silently sculpted your experience of reality. At its core, this manual disguised as a cinematic narrative offers us the skeleton key to understanding how consciousness, perception, and reality interlace in an eternal dance. The central teaching, shimmering through every scene and every symbolic gesture, is deceptively simple. Reality is not as solid, fixed, or objective as we have been taught to believe. It is a living projection, a holographic theater of the mind, continuously morphing to reflect the frequencies of our dominant thoughts, beliefs, and emotions. The first foundational concept is that belief is the architect of experience. Every moment, we are decoding raw sensory data through the lens of belief structures, many of which are inherited, unconscious, and unexamined. The matrix, in this sense, is not an external prison. It is the invisible network of assumptions that dictate what is possible and what is not. The moment we accept a belief as truth, it crystallizes into experience, weaving itself seamlessly into the fabric of our perceived world. This is the operating system of reality, a feedback loop where inner code manifests as outer form. Interwoven with this is the theme of awakening to agency. The narrative keeps circling back to the idea that you are not a passive observer but a creator. Whether you realize it or not, every thought, every word, every action sends out ripples that collapse potential into form. This is not a metaphor. It is a fundamental principle echoing through both ancient wisdom and cutting-edge science. Basher speaks of this as the mechanics of the mirror, where reality does not change, first you change, and reality follows suit. Joe Dispenza describes it in neurological terms, explaining how new thoughts and feelings wire new neural pathways, which in turn alter your electromagnetic signature, magnetizing new experiences into your field. Another profound theme is the illusion of separation. The matrix is powered by fear and energy that keeps individuals looping in predictable patterns. Alan Watts, in his explorations of Eastern philosophy, often reminded us that the sense of separateness is the greatest illusion of all. In the matrix, this is symbolized through Neo's gradual realization that he is not apart from the matrix, but is it, and that his perception determines its behavior. The deeper lesson here is that there is no external enemy, no ultimate them controlling reality, is all a fractal reflection of the one, which you are an inseparable facet of. Closely tied to this is the concept of transcending fear and control. The matrix appears to divide us self and other, subject and object, mind and matter, but beneath these surface distinctions lies a unified field of consciousness. Fear paralyzes, blinds, and sedates, making people more easily controlled. In the manual's hidden wisdom, freedom is not attained by fighting the system, but by stepping outside of its frequency. When Neo no longer fears death, he transcends the matrix's rules entirely. Here lies the cosmic joke. What binds us is not the system itself, but our belief in its invincibility. The moment we align with the vibration of fearlessness and sovereignty, the so-called laws of reality begin to bend, making space for miracles and the impossible. Finally, there is the theme of choice and commitment. The red pill and blue pill are more than cinematic devices. They are archetypal representations of the spiritual crossroads each of us encounters, sometimes repeatedly. The red pill symbolizes the willingness to awaken, no matter the discomfort, to see things as they truly are rather than how we wish them to be. This commitment to truth over comfort, to awareness over numbness is the true initiation. It demands vigilance, humility, and a fierce love of freedom, both inner and outer. These core themes do not float in abstract ether. They pulse through every lived moment, waiting for us to notice the patterns, to trace the seams in the fabric of reality and step through. Each theme is a doorway, And every doorway leads back to the same truth. You are both the dreamer and the dreamed, the observer and the observed, the code and the coder. The Matrix Manual, therefore, is not about escape, it is about mastery. Mastery of mind, mastery of energy, and ultimately, mastery of self. With these foundational concepts now illuminated, we can turn our gaze deeper, still to the symbolic narratives that weave through this manual like veins of gold, offering stories within stories, maps within maps, to guide the initiate on their journey of awakening. Beneath the sleek, digital veneer of the Matrix, there flows an ancient river of symbols, a tapestry of myths, archetypes, and spiritual parables dressed in modern clothing. To decode the manual is not only to understand its concepts, but to penetrate the rich symbolic language through which it communicates truths too vast, too subtle, to be captured by mere logic. These narratives serve as initiation rites for the psyche, whispering to the soul in metaphors that unlock inner chambers of understanding. At the heart of the story is Neo's journey, a classic hero's journey, but with a twist that resonates deeply with seekers of wisdom across the ages. Neo is not just a man, he is every man, a symbol of humanity's potential to awaken from spiritual amnesia. His initial life a sterile cubicle, a world of sameness and sleepwalking mirrors the ordinary reality we know too well. It is the world of the ego, the false self, hemmed in by rules and limits that feel absolute until questioned. Neo's search for something more, his knowing suspicion that the world is not as it seems, reflects the stirring of the soul, the first flicker of awakening. When the veil thins and reality's edges begin to shimmer with mystery, the red pill itself is potent with symbolism. It is not merely an object but an alchemical invitation, the philosopher's stone in capsule form. To take the red pill is to ingest truth, to undergo a death and rebirth of perception. It is an act of radical surrender and irreversible leap into the unknown where all former certainties dissolve. Here, the pill is both medicine and poison, healing the illusion while killing the comfort of the lie. This echoes ancient initiation rites, where the initiate must symbolically die before being reborn into a new level of awareness. Morpheus, the guide and mentor, is the archetypal figure of the gatekeeper, the one who stands at the threshold of worlds. His name, drawn from the Greek god of dreams, is no accident. He shepherds Neo out of the dreamscape of illusion and into the stark clarity of what lies beneath. In many traditions, this figure is the teacher or guru who catalyzes awakening, yet always reminds the seeker, the journey is yours alone to walk. Morpheus's unwavering faith in Neo is symbolic of the deep truth that the universe itself conspires to awaken us, mirroring back our potential until we are ready to claim it. The agents, smooth, faceless enforcers of the Matrix, represent the shadow aspects of control and suppression. They are not just external villains, but projections of the internalized forces that seek to keep us bound: fear, self-doubt, conditioning. Their relentless pursuit of Neo-Ko is symbolic of the way these forces surface with even greater ferocity when one begins to break free. In many mystical traditions, this is known as the guardian of the threshold, the intensification of inner resistance just before breakthrough. Perhaps one of the most profound symbolic moments comes when Neo, finally aligned with his true nature, realizes that the bullets fired at him have no power. He does not dodge them out of fear. He simply raises a hand and stops them midair, embodying the truth that mastery is not about struggle, but about alignment. The bullet symbols of fear, attack, and mortal threat lose their potency when met with absolute presence. This is the essence of spiritual sovereignty, the realization that nothing can truly harm the essence of who you are. The cityscape itself, a cold and gleaming maze of glass and steel, is a modern echo of the labyrinth, a timeless symbol of entrapment and the journey inward. Each corridor and alleyway represents the twists and turns of the mind, the endless loops we traverse when lost in the labyrinth of thought. But just as in ancient myth, the way out is through. The only true escape is to face the center, confront the Minotaur's own shadow and emerge, transformed. Then there is the oracle, a figure who blends paradox with prophecy. She is the embodiment of wisdom that transcends logic, teaching through riddles and subtleties. Her kitchen, warm and filled with the scent of baking, is a stark contrast to the cold digitality of the Matrix, symbolizing the nurturing aspect of truth. She reminds us that knowledge is not cold data, but lived, breathed, and felt a dance between free will and fate, where prophecy only becomes reality through the choices we make. And finally, the Matrix itself as a living, breathing metaphor, echoes the ancient Gnostic notion of the demiurge, the false creator god, who spins a world of illusion to keep souls trapped in forgetfulness. Yet even in Gnosticism, the deeper truth is that this illusion, while convincing, is not absolute. The divine spark within us holds the power to awaken and transcend, to remember that we are not merely inhabitants of this world but its co-creators. These symbolic threads weave together to form a tapestry of awakening, a narrative that is both ancient and urgently relevant. Every symbol, every character, every twist of the plot is an invitation to look within and recognize the same dynamics at play in your own life. The manual does not just tell a story, it holds up a mirror, asking you to see yourself not as a passive observer, but as the protagonist of your own awakening. And now, having journeyed through the deep symbolic layers of this manual, we turn toward the next great task, bringing these insights down from the lofty heights of metaphor and into the heartbeat of daily life, where transformation takes root and becomes real. It is one thing to glimpse the shimmering architecture of truth through symbols and metaphors, and quite another to embody that truth in the soil of daily existence. The manual, the blueprint, does not ask us merely to intellectualize or philosophize, but to live the awakening, to breathe it into every conversation, every decision, every small and great act of being. Here is where decoding the Matrix becomes not an abstract exercise, but a lived revolution. The first ripple of this transformation is perceptual. When you begin to truly see the Matrix for what it is, a network of thought forms, beliefs, and energy patterns, you can no longer move through the world in the same unconscious way. The veil lifts in subtle yet unmistakable ways. A conversation that once felt ordinary now reveals its hidden currents, patterns of conditioning, silent agreements to uphold illusion, power plays cloaked in politeness. You begin to recognize the energetic blueprint beneath appearances. This is not about becoming cynical or detached. Quite the opposite. It is about engaging with a radical kind of clarity and compassion, seeing the game for what it is while remembering that every player is also a soul on their own journey of awakening. In practical terms, this means you start to notice where you have been living on autopilot, where you have outsourced your power to systems, authorities, and internalized scripts that no longer serve you. Whether it's your relationship to work, your health, your sense of purpose, or your deepest desires, the manual teaches you to ask, whose code am I running? Is this choice arising from my highest awareness, or from fear, habit, or unconscious loyalty to a dying paradigm? Each time you pause and ask these questions, you disrupt the loop. You inject a new frequency into the field, one of sovereignty, presence, and choice. Another profound shift emerges in your relationship with fear. Fear, once seen as a monolithic force to be avoided or overcome, begins to reveal itself as a guidepost, a signal that you are brushing up against the edges of your own programming. Instead of shrinking back, you learn to lean in, to meet the fear with curiosity and presence. This is the practice of decoding, recognizing that every trigger, every discomfort, is an opportunity to unearth a deeper layer of the matrix within. In doing so, you transform fear from a jailer into an ally, a catalyst for deeper liberation. Equally transformative is the realization that reality itself is responsive. As you shift your inner landscape, rewiring beliefs, dissolving old patterns, embodying new frequencies, you begin to witness the outer world shifting in kind. Synchronicities multiply. Opportunities arise, seemingly out of nowhere. Old limitations dissolve as new pathways emerge. This is not magical thinking, but the mechanics of the mirror in action. You realize that reality is not something that happens to you. It is something that happens through you and as you. This understanding extends into your interactions with others. You become acutely aware of the energetic exchanges at play where power is being given away, where illusions are being reinforced, and where truth is struggling to surface. Rather than getting entangled in the old games of blame, judgment, or projection, you begin to navigate from a place of centeredness. Your very presence becomes a kind of silent transmission, inviting others to awaken simply by witnessing your alignment. In the midst of this, daily practices become essential. Meditation, breathwork, mindful movement, these are not just wellness rituals, but technologies of awakening, tools for tuning your inner frequency so that you can hold your ground within the shifting tides of the matrix. Grounding becomes a sacred act, reminding you that even as you decode and deconstruct, you are here, in this body, in this moment, to experience the richness of form. You are not here to escape the matrix, but to master it, to play the game with eyes open and heart unbound. Perhaps one of the most profound real-world implications of this awakening is the shift from victimhood to creative authorship. No longer do you see yourself as at the mercy of fate, circumstance, or other people's choices. You recognize that, at a quantum level, you are participating in the creation of your reality in every moment. This is both liberating and sobering, for it means that every complaint, every blame, every abdication of responsibility is, in itself, a reinforcement of the matrix you seek to transcend. And yet, this is not a call for perfection, but for authenticity. The manual does not demand that you become some flawless being of light, free from all human missign. Rather, it invites you to integrate your shadow, to embrace your contradictions, to walk the path of awakening not as an escape from your humanity, but as its full expression. In this way, the matrix is not your enemy, but your greatest teacher, offering endless mirrors in which to see yourself more clearly. In the end, decoding your reality is not a one-time event, but a lifelong journey, a dance between forgetting and remembering, between contraction and expansion. The manual remains ever relevant, not because it offers final answers, but because it continually points you back to the only true source of wisdom, your own awakened awareness. With these practical integrations taking root, we arrive now at the final gateway, the culmination of this journey, where insight alchemizes into transformation, and the manual's deepest invitation is fully revealed. And so, we arrive at the threshold, where knowledge transforms from something you hold into something that holds you. The journey we've taken through this manual, this hidden blueprint, disguised as a film, has unraveled layers of illusion, exposed the mechanics of reality's code, and revealed the immense untapped power dwelling within you. Yet, the deepest revelation is this: there is no manual outside of you. The true guidebook has always been inscribed in your own consciousness, encoded in the whispers of your intuition, in the pulse of your deepest knowing. Decoding the matrix is not a destination, but a perpetual becoming. Every insight, every epiphany is both an arrival and an invitation to dive deeper. Like peeling an infinite onion, each layer reveals another, each awakening births a new set of questions. But this is the nature of true mastery. It is alive, dynamic, ever The manual, in its essence, is not a static text, but a living dialogue between you and the universe, a mirror that reflects as deeply as you dare to look. What, then, is the ultimate message of this exploration? It is that freedom, true unshakable freedom, does not come from escaping the matrix or waging war against it. Freedom arises when you realize that the matrix is a mirror, and that by changing the observer, you change the observed. The cage was never locked, and the key was never lost. It was hidden in plain sight, woven into the very fabric of your being. The shift, then, is from seeking to seeing, from looking outward for salvation to recognizing that you are both the question and the answer, both the dreamer and the dreamed. This realization is not meant to inspire passivity, but radical embodiment. To live decoded is to walk the world with eyes wide open, to engage fully yet unattached, to love fiercely yet freely, to create boldly without clinging to outcome. It means stepping into your role as a conscious co-creator, No longer a pawn moved by unseen hands but a sovereign being dancing in harmony with the infinite. The matrix, once seen clearly, becomes a canvas, a playground for the soul to express, to evolve, to remember itself again and again. But be warned, this path is not without its trials. To awaken is to invite disruption. Old structures may crumble, familiar comforts may dissolve, and relationships built on illusion may fall away. There will be moments of doubt, of darkness, of disorientation. Yet, each challenge is a signpost, each obstacle a gatekeeper, testing your commitment to truth over comfort, to expansion over stagnation. You are not alone in this. Countless souls are awakening alongside you, forming an invisible network of light across the planet, a rising tide of consciousness that no system can suppress. The final call of this manual is simple yet profound: live decoded, not just in moments of meditation or reflection, but in every breath, every word, every choice. Let your life itself become the manual and illuminated path for others to follow, not by preaching but by embodying. Let your presence be the red pill that awakens those who are ready. Trust that by honoring your own awakening, you ripple out transformation far beyond what you can see. As you step forward, remember, the matrix is not your enemy. It is your creation, your classroom, your mirror. And you, limitless, luminous, and free, are the master codebreaker, the dreamer awakening inside the dream. The manual has done its work. Now, it is your turn to write the next chapter. The journey continues, and it always begins now.